And we are live. So, how's everybody been?
I'm good.
Good. We did our first live game since quarantine last night.
Oh my gosh, I saw the pictures. It looks so fun.
Oh, it's very exciting, but also kind of overwhelming. So, we had a couple of folks who came in and were like, "It's very cool that you guys are back. This is also a lot of people to be under one roof. I'm just gonna bounce if that's cool with y'all." It is fair and reasonable.
Yeah, I get that.
I think my number one struggle with this month's book is going to be remembering names of people and places.
Mm-hmm.
Like super main characters, I think I've got down pretty well because we've got like Serapio and Ziala and Naranpa, and then there's the city of Tova and the city of Kuekola. Other than that,
I mean, I think that's it. You nailed it.
Yeah.
I was just trying to remember other things. Like there's one of
There's a lot of proper nouns.
Yeah, like the first mate on the ship was Callow. Was that right?
I think so.
And
Yeah.
then there's the three teachers for... Yeah, like that's where I start being like,
Yeah, I feel like we can just call them like Teacher 1, Teacher 2, Teacher 3. They were just there, for
Teachers.
a little time.
Teachers who were present, teachers who were there. I'm going to real quick notify chat that we are live. Oh, you already did. Cheryn's so far ahead of me.
Nice.
With literally just 2 words. It's not much of an announcement when you're just like, nyeh, bleh. But I tried.
And I think people know where to find us at this point.
I have to say that I really enjoyed this month's book. Like, very much. Very much. And I gotta get our other book because now we have to wait like a whole year for the next one in the series.
Yeah.
But you can read her other series, which I like just as much, maybe even more.
Whoa. Is it a series? Is it a series that is out in entirety, or is it another one that will break my heart because it's not?
No, I was mad when this one came out because I was like, what are you doing, Rebecca? Where's my 3rd book? You're starting a new series? Just joking. Authors can write what they want. But
I mean, yeah. I totally get where you're coming from, though. There is something to be said for like, but I want you to finish what you were already working on.
Yeah.
How many are out in the others? Is that the one that Trail of Lightning? Is that?
Yeah.
How many are in that, and how many are around?
Just 2 books in that one.
Two books.
Yeah.
Okay.
They're really easy reads. They're like there's like something very like pulpy about them. You just like devour them because they're just like adventure novel. I mean, there's like some deeper layers, but some post-apocalyptic adventure, punch the bad guys kind of a.
I dig it. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Subscribe.
That definitely should get. If there's a month that you're like, I'm not sure what to suggest, that should just like make it back into rotation because I think that got quite a few votes.
And it's pretty short. It's very readable. It's very like, I don't know. You know what I mean?
I know what you mean.
One of those actiony, kind of like how the Dresden Files are, where it's like, he's just gonna punch some bad guys and be sad, but in like a pithy way.
It's a very consumable book, is what I'm hearing. Yeah.
With some fun world building.
Hi, Tree.
I'm I always put it off, so I'm thinking about book recommendations for this coming month. I've got a couple in my pocket. I'm looking through my my like Goodreads TBR list. You know what I mean?
So, as a reminder, for anyone who may have forgotten, we're doing Priory of the Orange Tree for our next book, and since it a big bad boy, we're gonna do half. We're gonna do half this month, and then half next month. So you know, digestible chunks.
Is it even divided into two pieces?
Or
are we gonna choose like chapters?
Oh, it's got so many maps. Yeah, I guess we should figure out. Ooh, look at all these maps. So nice.
Let's figure that out real quick before we get into the book proper, while people are still filtering in.
Well, it's got 6 chapters, so we could just go through the 3rd chapter. That's 405 pages, and it's
it's an 800-page book.
Yeah, it's 715, or no, it's about 800 pages to the end. So that's like right down the middle. Pretty good.
Yeah, it's a good middle point. This is gonna be a tough one for me.
Yeah, this one.
I'm kind of.
This one was also 400 some pages, so it's about
was it?
reading a normal book.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
I was getting really into Black Sun, so like I'm kind of like in the like give me a chunky book mood still. This is our first half, and here's our second half. So.
I am also in a high fantasy mood. I just finished The Jasmine Throne, which is the first in a fantasy series set in it's kind of inspired by Indian like history, folklore, legend, all of that. It was really good, and I was like, I need some more fantasy in my life.
What's that?
Hell yeah!
It's called The Jasmine Throne. There's a new one coming out. I called the bookstore because I pre-ordered it, but they haven't gotten it in yet.
When I come visit you, I'm just going to steal everything that you own and put it in my car and drive all of the books back to my house and read them.
I'm pro that. I love lending books. I'll give
you the other ones back. I'll give you the ones that you've already lent me back. I promise.
I'm a free love, free book love. Take them, leave them, share them around. The more people that get to enjoy it, the better, I think.
They can't get those really soft, worn-in, good-feeling pages without them like exchanging hands at least a couple of times, I think.
Yeah.
Like, it's almost necessary to get them feeling really right.
I had the cover come off of my Good Omens book because I lent it out so many times. That's like a badge of honor, you know. Not if you intentionally harm the book, but just been lent out so many times.
It's well loved. It's well loved. I feel like I need to be friends with more librarians so that when things like that start happening in my books, I can be like, all right, so how do I fix this?
I know a bunch of bookbinders.
Probably not a lot you can do for a paperback.
Yeah, paperbacks, not, there's some things you can do, but you probably won't really be restoring the original part of the cover, but there's a way to like put another cover on it, kind of. So
that could work. That could work.
That's about it.
It's a good strategy, Tree.
My one of my partners does that with Dune.
Oh hell yeah!
He will just always have a copy of Dune laying around.
I know a bunch of people who are rereading Dune right now.
Oh yeah, for the movie.
Because the movie's coming out.
Yeah. I thought about it. I don't know. I remember reading it and being like, I like this, but I'm having a hard time getting through it. And then like when I started the second book in the series, I was like, I like this less, and I'm not gonna get through it. And I didn't. So yeah, I need to brush up.
It was not my favorite. I think there was some really interesting world building and like foundational like sci-fi elements to it. There's like a whole, the role of women in it. Just like I wasn't.
Yeah.
Already, I don't like to read stuff written more than 20 years ago and by men, and so it's just,
Oh. Speaking of shade in the direction of men, that Teak curse, Lauren, do you remember reading that Teak curse?
Yes. What is it?
I'm not gonna be able to find it quick, but I did take a picture of it and send it to a friend and be like, look at this. May you drown in shallow water. May your song be never heard. May you fall in love with a man.
Yes.
May your mouth ever fill with salt. And I'm just like, ouch.
It was definitely one of those that stood out. I love when fantasy especially has like original sayings or curses or songs like embedded in it. I think it just adds something to the world building. Like already just that like one little phrase tells you so much about like Teak outlook.
Yeah. I really liked those little blurb at the tops of the chapters.
Yeah.
There was one that I now can't remember that was basically, it was a Teak saying, and it was something to the effect of men are never so bold as when they're telling you what to do, and never so cowardly as when you respond, or something to that effect. And I was like, get him. Get him. Tell him. Like, damn.
Yeah, I liked those little bits at the beginning of the chapters. I'm a fan of like a footnote. I feel like that's maybe another in that category where you'll get like pieces of letters or sayings or just like little cultural background tidbits.
Yeah, I liked the observations on crows by young Saya, I guess. That's fun.
It took
a nice little insight into her, since we only see her in the first chapter really, and then just hear about her for the rest of the book.
It took me a stupidly long time to click the fact that Serapio's mother's name is Saya, and then these little like chapter beginning notes that we're receiving from the Journal of Saya are in fact one and the same person. I was like, oh, these are interesting. And then I think it was when one of the teachers is talking about how dedicated Saya was to the cause and how she had seemed to be that way her entire life. I was like, oh, yeah, okay.
It took me a little while to put it together too. Because sometimes you're just like, oh, what happens next? What happens next? And you're not like necessarily like putting on your critical thinking cap and being like, how are all these pieces woven together? You want to like hurry up and experience it.
Yeah.
So what was the general, did you guys like the book? General thoughts?
I really liked it. I really liked it. Like, I was like, I'm enjoying this. And then like, I really enjoyed this. It was good. I recommended it to someone at work, and they started reading it, and I'm like, yay!
What a love language!
VP,
that is so...
one of the vice presidents started reading the book because I recommended it. I'm just like,
I recommended it to a friend in a Discord I'm on because they were like, hey, what's everybody reading right now? And I was like, well, let me tell you about what I'm reading. And all I did was I basically copied the synopsis, and I was like, if you have more questions, I only have half the book's worth of answers. And they were like, no, I'm already sold. This sounds amazing. And then they were like, I think 75 pages or so in, and they were like, hell yes, this is so good. Yeah, so strong recommendation for this book. Lord, I enjoyed it. And I am genuinely curious about the second book, which gets teased a little bit in the very, very end of the first book.
Yeah, I didn't read the teaser. I glanced at it, but I thought about just there are so many open-ended things or things that could be expanded upon that maybe they did expand upon them in the second book. Maybe they won't. There's one person who is one of the authors of the little blurbs, who is someone that we never even meet at all. So are they going to show up in a later book? Who knows? We don't know what happens to anybody at the end. It's absolute chaos. Several other characters that we don't really know what their deal is.
Yeah, so when I first started reading this, I thought it was a standalone because it doesn't say part one of the whatever trilogy. It's just
it just says a novel.
Yeah. To me, I normally think of as it's a standalone. And, and I was reading it and I was like, what? Or what? But what happens? And then it was only after that I discovered that it was part of a series. And I was like, okay, it makes more sense. They're clearly setting up quite a bit. Yeah. But
I will say, Cheryn, since you didn't get into the teaser for the second book, the teaser that you get is a small chapter with Lord Balaam exploring a Dreamwalker's journal.
Dreamwalker. Okay.
Which apparently is some mad powerful shield maiden magic, which I'm like, hell yes, I'm here for this as well.
Oh, I see. If I had to guess, I would have guessed that Dreamwalkers would have had something to do with that powder stuff.
I bet it does. But I bet it does.
Maybe.
Do your copies have teasers?
Yeah, all the way at the tail end. Maybe it's a new edition since
mine doesn't have that.
Really?
That's very upsetting.
I don't think so. Let me check. Hold on. No, mine goes straight from chapter 42 to acknowledgments and credits.
So it's in my copy at the very least, it's after the acknowledgments and credits.
No.
Oh. Well, I bet
acknowledgments and credits?
Nothing.
I
bet that it's available online for freezies, since that's usually how they do. Yeah, definitely check that out, because I was like, man, Lord Balaam seems like such a minor character given how involved he is in all of this that's going on. And they're like, guess what, book 2, baby?
Yeah. Wow, there's more content.
I know. It's so good. It's so good. So one of the things that was one of the major questions I think throughout the book is Serapio and whether you view him as a villain or just a creature of destiny or what. And I was really interested to get into that on stream because I think y'all are going to have really interesting thoughts on that.
It's a more self-aware Harry Potter, It's Go die. There you go.
That is an interesting question. I definitely... I see him more as an instrument of maybe villainy than like a villain. Like, it's not that he doesn't have like autonomy and choice exactly, but I feel like he was so shaped and like put on this path that like I don't know that I think, did you say instrument of fate? Is that what you said, Josh?
I don't know if I use that exact word, but yeah, basically. Like,
I think I would side more on that. I mean, I don't think it matters if you're getting murdered. Like, you're not like, oh, is this person probably a villain to a lot of people?
Yeah, I feel like in order to answer that question for me, I need more context. I need more context on the whole sun priest situation and like the main religion, and I need more context on the carrion crows and like what happened at the Night of Knives.
Yeah,
some bad stuff clearly. So
I mean,
I'm kind of like, I don't want to say that the cultists' end goals are actually bad or villainous in any way until I need more details.
I mean, my read on the Night of Knives in particular was, you remember there was that room that Naranpa's sitting in waiting for the matrons of the houses to come and meet with her. And so she's just sitting in this room waiting and just like do. And as we are sitting there with her waiting, we're checking out all of these sick murals around the room. It seems to me like the sun priest thing was, yeah, guess what? Sun is going to be the major religion, and all other religions can just like, because we're just going to do away with all of that. Like, White Jaguar was the religion of the Quicola. Hokaya had, I'm trying to remember now, and it's escaping me. But like, there were 4 grand religions, and they all theoretically interfaced in a more like live and let live sort of way until the Tovans took over, and they were like, nope, sun's the big thing.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
And then after that, Carrion Crow was like, well, what if the Raven God came back though? And the Sun Priesthood was like, nah, here's what we're gonna do about that is we're gonna stab a bunch of you in the night. And that's just gonna be how we take care of that little problem, because it's basically a rebellion.
Was it just that was the issue, was just like there were too many cultists talking about the Crow God coming back? Is that why Night of Knives happened?
My understanding.
I couldn't tell if that was ever explicitly stated or if there was some other thing happening. It just, I don't know. From a historical perspective, I need more sources. I need more info.
From my perspective, it was that there were too many people talking about the Crow God and pushing some discontent, but also like some like, we should be able to worship who we want. And that was not. See, I don't know if this is an appropriate historical line, but the Night of Knives, like, definitely to me, I thought of like the Night of Broken Glass and like some like Judaism like references. And it's an oppressed religious minority, so maybe that's just an easy parallel, but like Night of Knives, Night of Glass, big, lots of murder. I don't know. That's something that came to mind for me.
Yeah, it's basically like one night genocide situation. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I definitely got the read specifically when you start hearing about the Night of Knives from Okoa's perspective, being a carrion crow and a high-ranking carrion crow at that, and being like, yeah, we have to be careful with all of these cultists getting too bold because nobody wants another Knight of Knives. And he sees like the cultists attacking the Sun Priest as something that's just going to bring that about and lead to another mass execution of his people, which I also would be concerned about in his position. Like, it seemed like he genuinely wanted more than anything for everybody to just get along.
Yeah. I feel like that tension between like revolution and respectability politics and, you know, stay the course, like don't make too much fuss. Like I've seen what happens, and like younger, like more zealous people, you know, being like, burn the system down. I thought that was, I don't know, very interesting. Like it was very believable to have that kind of like tension in that group. I thought of the stuff that happened in Tova, I think that I thought was more interesting than some of like the inner Sun Priest politics. I think those were like, I was like, okay. It seemed sometimes Naranpa seemed like a little naive. I was kind of like, get it together. But
I feel like everyone was like very interestingly well-rounded in very different ways, and you're kind of like, oh yeah, I kind of know you, and you're very different from you, who I also kind of know. And like it was another one of those books where every time we switched narrators or like switched following, I was like, oh yay, what's going on? And also like, oh no, man, now I gotta switch. Ugh,
yeah,
I don't want to know what happens. So, which was really nice. I really like it when a book is that good.
There were a lot of cliffhanger chapters in there where it's like, and then this thing happens. Anyway, so over to Serapio, and you're like, whoa, 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 excuse me. I was not ready for this change of perspective right now.
I feel like the pacing, like I was like, what? I gotta know what happens, and like it kind of like, I feel like it keeps it pretty fast.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. It was the way they kept doing that definitely had me as a person being like, well, it is like midnight, but I probably could get through one more chapter and then just see if they go back to like Naranpa's view so that I can see what's going on with Denaochi and Sataya, his or Sataya, I suspect is probably it, his witch on like retainer. Like I have to know. Like
There's so many cliffhangers. I just opened it up to a random page and was reminded of another like cliffhanger type situation. It's just like there's so many things. So many, like, who was trying to kill Naranpa the whole time?
We don't know.
We still don't know.
Into the book and we don't know.
Mm-hmm.
I have my suspicions.
I
will
have a variety of suspicions, but none of them align with each other, so it could be any of them or none of them.
I will say, and just in case anybody watching hasn't read the book yet, just plug your fingers and la 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 for a couple minutes here. Right near the end, when Serapio is just ripping through the priesthood like a force of vengeance, and then kills clearly the Priest of Knives, and then is identifying the Priest of Knives as her. I was like, Serapio, you are misgendering that Priest of Knives. I'm very sad that Z is dead, but you are misgendering. And then it was like, well, this wasn't the Priest of Knives I expected. And I'm like, oh.
Yes.
Yeah. I kind of figured even when they were when they were talking about the procession going in, I was like, well, there's no way that like Iktan is there. like, especially since Z had been like tearing stuff up, apparently, according to like when they were on the bridge, and they're like, "Oh, that I don't know, Co has been what's the word that they were?
Oh yeah, Co,
the priest of knives.
Co. Yeah. I think you got it right.
Yeah, is like tearing up the tower, and so like, there's no way that Z would be there and like be, just chill. Yeah. So I was like, this is either a new priest of knives, or someone is impersonating Ikten. I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah, I really liked Ikten. Like, I am just very here for a character that's just ready to murder, but has like a soft spot, Like,
I mean, that's part of what makes oh Lord, his name's escaping me now. The main character from Six of Crows. It's part of what makes him so lovable.
Yes.
I'm terrible at names.
Same.
Shoot. I'm gonna Google it.
But like I got very powerful that character vibes from Ikten.
Yes.
Kaz Brecker. Thank you.
I think you like really, yeah. I think that's who Ikten reminds me
Little
of.
murder babies.
Reminds me. Always thinking ahead, like always ready to just be like, I can make this easier for you. I could just kill them.
I could clean up this mess for you, boss. Yeah. I also, another thing I really enjoyed was anytime Ikten was being described, there were terms used like beautiful and handsome, and like Narampa is just clearly, like, you can tell just off of the descriptions that Narampa is just totally distracted by Ikten. And then there's a scene shortly after Narampa has had the attempt on her life, and she's sitting there and she's thinking about all this stuff, and she's thinking about Ikten, and she sees Zem? How do you?
I think so.
Zir,
that's it. Yeah, sees Zir enter the conclave and take a seat in a very like out of the way area, and the whole time the high priest is talking and then tries to be like, and now some words from the sun priest Narampa, and like you get like you're getting the inner monologue, and then you just get like the one very small line of interjection, and so you're almost like flitting right past it without thinking about it, and then it's like, wait a minute, oh no. She's not listening.
Yeah. Their like chemistry, I guess you would say, was good. I enjoyed it.
Oh yeah. Very good chemistry. That scene in particular, I think, was one of my favorites from Narampa's perspective, just because of how real it felt as a moment where, like, you're lost in your thoughts, but you're also trying to pay some attention to this meeting you're at.
Oh, man. I feel like we've all been at those meetings. You're like, what? Huh? Sorry, I was on mute. I was totally paying attention. Don't worry.
Oh, so good.
What did you think of like how are we gonna say her name?
Are we talking about our Teak captain?
Yes.
I was pronouncing it Ziala in my head.
Ziala. Okay.
Ziala, yeah, that's what I was doing.
What did you think of Ziala? And well, first off, I loved her. I
loved her.
Sure.
Period. End of sentence.
Introduction, like in the prison.
Oh my God, yes.
All of like, I feel like both her and Serapio's introductions are like so evocative. Like you only get to first impressions matter, and it's just like you get introduced to Serapio as like it's like this like traumatic moment, and he's like very clearly like a tool for like vengeance, and it's like mystical, and that's very like it feels like a defining part of his like introduction to his character. And then Zialia, you feel like you get introduced to her character pretty fast. She's like waking up hungover in a jail being like, oh, what did I do last night? She's still like a drunken sailor doing drunken sailor things. Love it.
I also appreciated that she as she's putting things together about how the previous night had gone, she was like, oh crap. I punched out some lady's husband. Oh no.
Yeah.
It was really fascinating to me the different cultures you end up exploring through Tova, Hokaya, and Quikola, because like Hokaya is very clearly female empowerment, like let's do this, like shield maidens are the baddest asses you will ever find kind of deal. Quikola definitely seemed more like and Tova also was like the matrons. The matrons are the leadership of the city, and then the priesthood may have men in it, but just as likely has women or otherwise. But Quikola, you get the impression that is a more male-dominated society, both from them being like, well, they're not really big on the whole women loving women thing. And then the way that Ziala is treated by the guards at the jail, and then the Lord Peck, I think it was, who she had thrown overboard into the bay.
I loved that story. Just like, it goes.
With all of that combined, and that's where she is like been hanging out, and then she gets to Tova and she's like, actually it's really nice here.
Yeah, I liked the like diversity of culture, and I think that's always like a thing you're looking for in a realistic high fantasy, is that not everything is like the same version of medieval England. Like you want like different cities and different places to have different cultures. At least that's something I look for. I suppose like if you're traveling all within like the same country, maybe it's different. I think it's interesting. And then also I think it just like highlights some of the diversity of like pre-Columbian Americas and stuff like that. Yeah. For sure.
I liked reading about the way that like the city of Tova was laid out too, like on like mesas, I guess, with bridges strung between them, and then like in the gorges of like a big canyon. And I kept trying to like I've like imagined it like 3 different ways now, where I'm like, okay, so like I guess there's some stuff like on top of the mesas, and then there's like the maw is like in a little like skinny narrow gorge, like a little like side gully, and like there's like a big tall mesa, and that's like the Sun Rock, and like nothing else is around it, and you've got to get to it by bridge. And yeah, so I want to see a map of that, but there's not a map of that. There's just a big map of the whole like Crescent Sea situation.
Well, I know the maw also,
and there was like lots of talks of like houses built into the rock and stuff. Like
it's on the back cover. Is that not it?
So
we don't have that one, Lauren. You've got that, and we've got the teaser.
Oh, you don't have maps?
I know that there is a map in here, or maybe I googled a map.
the Sun Rock here.
Ooh.
And there's like some bridges and the different areas. I think this is the Maw.
Send me a picture of that, Lauren.
I know how you feel about maps.
I have feelings, and I need to look at that map because yes.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I think
Googled a map, but it was just a map of like the Crescent Sea, so it was just like, here's some cities, and that was it. It wasn't the cities in depth.
I think the Maw also is closer to ground, right? Because the fall into the Tovashay isn't nearly as lethal from the Maw, if I recall. And then additionally, they're referred to as dry earthers, where the clans up above are the Sky Maid, which, by the way, you want to talk about class divides with cool names.
Yeah. Yeah. And
they were talking about the levels in the Maw too, and like this is the tourist level where you can like just greet some tourists, get some,
fleece some gulls, as Kazbrecker would say.
Yes, that's it.
I did like the bits in the Maw and like the seedier areas.
I am genuinely hoping that in book 2 we get to explore the Maw a little more fully, because since it's almost exclusively from Naranpa's view that you get to see the Maw at all, you've got very small child and then kind of sheltered-ish like adult woman who like hasn't been back since a very small child. So
you got that rogue thing. You just want to get in there and see what's up.
I want to see the seedy underbelly of every fantasy city we visit. Dang it!
I love it. I'm here for a seedy underbelly of a fantasy city.
Why is it a seedy underbelly? Why is that? Why are underbellies seedy? Like, is it
I don't know why
like low to the ground and they pick up seeds? Is that how did that phrase start? Tangent.
Well, I think
unrelated tangent. I'm sorry.
Hold on. I actually think I might know this one just based on my understanding of the word seedy and my understanding of the word underbelly. Because something going to seed is like it's a seedy plot. Like that's supposed to be a plot that you haven't done anything with. You're not plowing it. You're not like you're just letting it go to seed. And then underbelly, of course, being like you lift the rock, and underneath there's a whole lot going on. So I think between those two things, it's like an area that you've left completely to its own devices, and now there's all kinds of things going on underneath that particular rock. I think that's where it comes from. I don't know. I'm mostly like taking that from context, so take that with a big old grain of salt. But you know.
Yeah, I mean, contextually, that all makes sense. I'm just wondering if, like, a seedy underbelly, like, the phrase itself had an origin. I don't know.
That's a good question.
I Googled seedy as, like, in the dictionary, and it said unsure, but probably a reference to, like, plants and flowers being left to go to seed and then, like, dying. And they look all scraggly and brown. Pink. And sad, but yeah, that is an interesting phrase. I feel like underbelly makes more sense.
Yeah, I do.
Underbellies of like horses and stuff, like it'll get like dirty from like the mud and muck and stuff kicked up, right? I just speculate.
Yeah,
somebody just say it with enough confidence, you know.
Basically,
like
yeah.
The internet.
Oh man. So I'm trying to think. There was another thing I was going to ask you guys about that was kind of in the vein of like big narrative questions about the book. I know maybe I was the most interested of the three of us in the political maneuvering inside of the Sun Priest's cast. But how did you all feel about the whole Aba?
Oof. I don't know.
Then,
I enjoyed part 2 as a separate, different aspect of things. Someone is banging on the door out there. But yeah, I did not like Abba. I did not like Abba.
Well, specifically, I was going to ask the conclusion that Naranpa comes to about Abba, Eche, and the Golden Eagles matron seem to be in cahoots.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Definitely.
Like Cheryn, not a fan of them. Yeah, I don't know. I feel like I was like a little frustrated that Naranpa wasn't taking like a hard enough stand. I felt like that she just like kept letting them push her around. Because she's like, I mean, she's like an idealist, and I did relate somewhat to her situation because like I've definitely been, you know, the younger one in an office where you have to train or supervise or instruct someone older than you. And that's not exactly her vibe, but like, you know, that kind of like weird dynamic where it's like, I'm in charge of you, but you don't respect me at all. And think I'm just like this like young upstart, and like you're older, or like, you know, went to a fancier school or something. So it's like, it's hard, but sometimes I feel like, just don't let them push you around. Just
she was very relatable.
Yeah. At some point I was like, oh gosh, there's this scene in Game of Thrones where Cersei is like, oh, you know what real strength is? It's strength. And she just like has her guards like grab the person, like and I was just like, I just wanted that. I was like, don't let him push you around. You have the power here.
You got Ethan, like just
yeah. But yeah, I thought it was interesting.
I think it's funny that you're like, you've got Iktan, when Naranpa at like multiple points in the book, Iktan's like, you know, I could take care of this for you.
Exactly.
And Naranpa's like, no.
Just take her up on it for like, you know, just
yeah.
But yeah, and that's another question. Was like when Naranpa was like unseated, did Iktan was it a double crossing? Were Z just pretending to go along with Abba and the others, or like that just came to me now because I was like, why would Z do that anyway? Like that's terrible. Like no wonder you guys didn't work out. What a jerk. But now maybe that was part of the thing.
Yeah.
Maybe
was it like a double or was it like
a double,
you know, to
situation.
protect her, or you know?
I definitely got the read, and I don't know that this is fully accurate, obviously, because we don't get any chapters from Iktan's perspective. I got the read that what Z was doing was putting Zir in such a position as like a protector for Naranpa, and the fact that Naranpa wasn't taking the Carrion Crow threat seriously, even though clearly Okoa is going to like cut her throat out or something like that. I think that's the point where Iktan was like, Naranpa's too focused on keeping the peace and is not willing to do the dirty deeds, what must be done. And so in a also very Kaz Brecker kind of move was like, I'm gonna put you in a box and then I'll take care of things. And then when it's safe again, we'll let you back out.
That was my original read, but then like just thinking of it now, I'm like, I wonder like instead of just being like, okay, yeah, it looks like I'm going along with these people who want to put you in a box because I also want to put you in a box, but for a different reason.
Yeah.
Like maybe Z was just putting Narampa in a box for a completely unrelated reason that we have no idea about.
That's totally possible. And I think the thing that Iktan did not prepare for was for Abba to come in and be like, well, time to drag you out of this here temple and drop you off the bridge. Like, I don't think Iktan was prepared for that at all.
What a skank. He was the worst.
Yeah. A real bully.
Yeah, very much.
Smug. Just so smug. Just like, oh, are you okay? I'm like,
yeah, like the like passive aggressive.
Yeah.
You know?
Powerful Mean Girls vibes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. I know we're trying to keep things a little bit on the shorter side today. So let's have a little bit of conversation about our next book, which is The Priory of the Orange Tree.
Yeah. So 3 C's.
So when Cheryn first pulled that up on camera, getting ready for the stream, I was like, oh God, how am I going to get through this even in 2 months? And it was pointed out to me that it's literally only twice the length of Black Sun. So if we do it a half at a time, it is a totally manageable chunk of book.
Yeah.
It's also got very wide margins.
It was definitely the longest book I read last year, but I really did enjoy it. It is an undertaking, though.
Well, the thing I was going to ask was, since you read it last year, do you hit a point where kind of like Six of Crows, kind of like Gideon the Ninth, kind of like Black Sun now, you get to like the 2/3 mark and you're like, must finish now.
Yeah.
Like give me, if you could just download the book into my brain, I would do it immediately, kind of deal.
Yeah. I feel like this one has like a little bit of a slow ramp up as it, it sets settings, you get a little familiar with the world and the characters, and then you're like, okay, yeah, and it's a standalone. So it's a whole complete story. There's no other books. So it does have like a very satisfying, end, which I think is nice.
Excellent.
Yeah, I feel like after the first bit, you get hooked.
Okay. So really it's just like power through the first little bit where they're establishing everything, and then it'll have its claws in you, and at that point it's too late to turn back. Okay. All right.
I feel like I'm in the right headspace for this now. Like coming right off of this book, I feel like I'm like ready now. Yeah.
And maybe some people really like that, like kind of slower, world buildy, high fantasy start.
Yeah. I mean, there's something to be said for the Belgariad, which I'd initially suggested, starts out very slow as you're like enjoying the provincial life of this child. And like he's hanging out with the blacksmith, and the blacksmith's teaching him life lessons and things like that. And then like all of a sudden it's like, also you're a chosen one. Also you have magic powers. Also, and it's like, whoa. So it's sounding like this will be kind of in that vein where it starts out building things up, and then once it gets going, it's just like nonstop jams.
Once you get to the dragons.
Oh,
there's multiple dragons.
I do like me some dragons. I'm about this.
Bad dragons, Western dragons, Asian dragons.
Hell yes. Hell yes.
Yeah. Good stuff.
I'm excited. I am super excited. I know I got the book poll up really late, and so Alpha Comics and Games has not yet ordered copies for folks. But I will check in with Alex tomorrow while she's on shift and see if we can get those ordered for whoever so might need them. But we're gonna read through chapter 3 this month. And then we'll talk about everything through chapter 3 at the next book club meeting, which I really should look at a calendar before we start book club so that I know when that'll be.
Oof. I've got it pulled up, but the internet is slow and doesn't wanna show me August.
It looks like the 24th.
August 24th. All right, I'm putting it on my calendar.
All right. So August 24th, we'll talk about Priory of the Orange Tree, chapters 1 through 3. And then September 21st, we will talk about Priory of the Orange Tree, chapters 4 through 6.
Sounds good.
Perfection.
Love it.
I'm excited. I was definitely a little intimidated by the initial size of the book, but I think we're gonna do this. We're gonna get through this.
Sorry.
I was gonna say I'm gonna continue to dedicate time more than just before going to bed.
I got this book for both my brother and my sister because it had been so widely praised by my friends who I know would give good recommendations for things that my siblings like. Like my brother's very into Game of Thrones, but also just both of them are big nerds. And many things about the way that this book has been presented to me spoke to me. So I'm wondering if I'll be able to manage to get them to read it along with us. That would be great.
Ooh. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I'm gonna try. I got it for them for Christmas. It's already on their shelves. It's now or never.
That's the way you got to do it. That's how you push books. You're just like, yeah, I bought this for you. Here you go.
Slide it across the table. So, what are you going to do with it now?
I'm going to make you a book offer you can't refuse.
Exactly.
I think of the ways I've thought of to recruit people to book club, I think that's one of the best. One of the best. Mm-hmm. You just give them the book and then you're like, oh, also, we will be discussing it if you wanted to get in on that. All right. I think that's y'all feeling good. Y'all feeling good about book club content? Any final thoughts on Black Sun that we didn't get into that you want to get into right now?
Just we gotta wait a whole year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Adding Trail of Lightning to the upcoming list of recommendations, though.
Yeah. It was really cool. I really enjoyed it. Serapio, super cool. It felt like kind of metal at certain points. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
There is something about having a crow god that can summon crows to just really attack people. That is pretty metal. I will agree fully with that. Yeah.
Yeah. I also really appreciated the great crows, the big ones.
Yeah.
Like Benunda, that. I was like,
hell yeah.
Oh, this is nice. And I liked the little my crow, Okoa being where's my crow? Oh, she's hanging out with the crow god reborn. Okay.
Oh, that's him better than me.
Yeah. And now they have to go off. They fly off to the rookery and just be friends, I guess. That's what's happening.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm about it. I am all about it.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Yes, very metal, Lauren.
Very metal. Quite metal indeed.
Eyes and the teeth and the
Mhm.
And yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
So much.
Mm-hmm. Cheryn, what do you want to plug this month?
Oh no. I feel like I'm not prepared to answer that question, but I know that there's a million things to plug probably. So I don't know. We got a book coming out soon, another GG book. Lauren actually wrote our most recent OPD that came out on the Patreon, so that's cool. If you're on the Patreon, Lauren wrote Tea Party Adventure, which is great.
It's very fun.
We've got a book coming out at QCAC. It's got pirates. Yeah, at QCAC itself. Everybody go to Charlotte, you know?
Yeah, come on down to Charlotte. They are requiring vaccination for everybody who comes, or a rapid test, which they will be offering at site. You have to have a bill of clean health within 72 hours of attending con. So there's going to be mask rules and things like that at con as well. But it's basically as safe as a convention can be.
Yeah. I'm really excited for it.
So am I. Lauren, what would you like to plug?
I think my plug will be for the one-page dungeon that Cheryn and I worked on. It was really fun to write it. I'd never written a D&D one-shot before, so if you like Tea Parties Gone Wrong, maybe check it out.
There is a particularly brutal game of croquet in there that I was very excited to see the rules for.
Mm-hmm. And Josh, of course, gave life to the monster of choice, which is truly delightful. They're so cute and deadly. Don't mistake them for dandelions.
The best combo. Yeah, it was a fun collaboration.
I highly enjoyed creating that monster block. Thank you for giving me such a beautiful foundation to work off of.
That's all I got. And, follow me on Instagram if you want, where I talk about books.
Hell yeah. And that's feminist.reading.list.
Yep.
Perfect. I am going to point out the fact that we keep talking about the Patreon. That is patreon.com/goblinsgrowlers. The $25 level or higher will get you all of our one-page dungeons, not just the one that Lauren just created for us, but all the ones going back as well. We've got other cool stuff on there too, so go check it out if you haven't already. If you have and are a supporter, thank you very much for supporting us. My plug for the day is going to be our podcast Quid Pro Roll, which, interestingly enough, we added to Pandora, and we now get 2/3 of our downloads from Pandora. I didn't know there was that many people still listening to things on Pandora, but thank you so much for those of you that are. And if you haven't already checked out the podcast, it's about trying to bring dragons back to the world as being done by a sketchy rogue, a fungal mancer who is really just on the run from his noble life, a paladin who is really, really smart in things of the heart and not much else, and an over-the-hill professional wrestler, all being guided by a dragon priestess who really, really just wants to get this mission done. So if that sounds like it might be entertaining to you, please check that out. We're on, I think, every podcatcher you can think of. Certainly all of the ones I could think of. So, Quid Pro Roll.
I'm going to make business cards for Alita that say, bedraggled project manager. Something like that. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's pretty accurate. It's pretty accurate. Alex might feel that is too real. Well, that's all I've got. Thank you, everybody who tuned in. and we're going to be back. What did I say? The 24th?
24th.
The 24th of August, we shall return.
Which I guess is on the heels of Con?
Yes, that will be 2 days after we get back from QCAC. So that if we're a little out of it, that's why. It's because we just spent 3 days at a con.
Oh, we've got, I can get the audiobook. We're carpooling down.
It's a good idea.
How many hours is that,
I think you're talking about 12 hours both ways. So that's a whole lot of audiobook you could get through.
Wow. I don't think it's not 12 hours between Richmond and Charlotte, is it?
I think when you count,
I thought it was like 7.
No. So I was saying both ways.
Oh,
I think
both ways.
I think it's 6 each way.
Okay, yeah, 12 hours. That'll put a dent in the audiobook.
Yeah, 12 hours all told, like getting there and getting back. I think that's got to be a whole mess of pages, I would assume.
Yeah.
But yeah, join us on the 24th. We'll be talking about chapters 1 through 3 of Priory of the Orange Tree. All right. See y'all then. Bye.